You're listening to the Acadiana's Morning News Podcast, brought to you by LABI and always on KPEL965.com.
For many servicemen and women, the battle doesn't end when they come home. And I know, because I too struggle with the invisible wounds of service. Pups for Patriots and Sam literally changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more about the Pups for Patriots Service Dog Program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
A message from American Humane.
I love this song! I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at MatthewJames.com.
The U.S. battles on land and at sea. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A drone strike kills 5 Iranian-backed militants in Iraq. The U.S. defense official says they were seen preparing an attack that was suspected to be targeting American forces, who've already been targeted more than 70 times in recent weeks in Iraq and Syria. Now to what happened off the coast.
The USS Carney came to the defense of 3 commercial vessels under drone attack in the Red Sea. The ships were being fired on by Houthi militia based in Yemen, but backed by Iran. A Houthi spokesperson claims they attacked Israeli-linked ships, but Israel's military insists there is no connection.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Israel is going after Hamas in every part of Gaza now.
They say they targeted 200 different sites overnight, bringing the total number of strikes against Gaza since this war began 59 days ago to more than 10,000.
Fox's Trey Inks near the border.
We do know the heavy air campaign inside Gaza is spiking the death toll there. Health authorities at the Palestinian-controlled health ministry say more than 700 people were killed in a 24-hour period over the weekend.
And they say there are more than 15,000 Palestinians killed since Hamas's terror attack sparked Israel's war. Israel keeps urging civilians to evacuate areas where fighting is intense. There's a big case at the Supreme Court today on a settlement related to a company blamed in the opioid crisis of drug overdoses and deaths.
At issue are company bankruptcy protections for the family who ran Purdue Pharma during the opioid crisis. Even though the U.S. government was okay with the bankruptcy plan under President Trump's administration, the Justice Department under President Biden is questioning the deal, which gave Sackler family members bankruptcy protection, even though they themselves haven't filed for bankruptcy.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. 2 New York City police officers are recovering after being stabbed, confronting a man who had murdered 4 members of his family in Queens. 2 of them were kids. An officer shot and killed the killer. America's listening to Fox News.
With the holidays upon us, the increase in traveling, shopping, and connecting online also heightens the need to protect your identity and finances with LifeLock. Identity thieves see this time of year as an opportunity to drain your accounts, open new loans in your name, and damage your financial future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might miss on your own. Don't let the busy holiday season catch you off guard. Save up to 25% off your first year with promo code CLAY. LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes who risk their lives for our communities and our country. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. He sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training. Tunnel to Towers provided his wife and 2 daughters with a mortgage-free home. Join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good in their honor. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
There's more concern about U.S. aid to Ukraine drying up. The director of the White House Budget Office has written a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson warning if Congress does not approve new funding for military aid to Ukraine to fend off Russia's invasion, money approved earlier will run out by the end of the year, and the U.S. will not be able to send more weapons and equipment. President Biden wants to aid Israel and Ukraine bundled together in the Senate. That's not the case in the House.
Massachusetts Democrat Seth Moulton says there is a reason he would not vote for standalone funds for Israel.
Not if it imperiled funding for Ukraine.
He says that's why Democrats want to pair funding for Ukraine and Israel. But Florida Republican Michael Waltz says we should reevaluate Ukraine aid.
I think we are past the point of blank checks Don't ask questions.
Waltz says he'd like to hear from President Biden what victory for Ukraine looks like and how much more money that requires. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are down after Friday's gains sent the Dow to a new high for 2023. On Sunday Night Football, Green Bay beat Kansas City 27-19. Earlier, the 49ers avenged their NFC Championship game loss.
Samuel breaks the tackle, still on his feet, and speed now. Samuel racing to the end zone.
Deebo Samuel scored 3 times, leading San Francisco past Philadelphia 42-19 on Fox. A baseball manager has been elected to the Hall of Fame.
The 78-year-old Leland won more than 1,700 games in 22 seasons with 4 teams. He is 18th on the career victories list. Leland was a 3-time manager of the year. He led the Florida Marlins to the 1997 World Series title.
I can't thank baseball enough. It's been my life.
Courtesy of the MLB Network, Leland received 15 of 16 votes from the Hall's Committee on Managers, Umpires, and Executives. 12 votes were needed for election. Former manager Lou Piniella missed by just 1 vote.
That's Bob Mortale. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas High and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Party at Rock and Bowl all weekend starting on Thursday, Terry and the Zydeco Bad Boys. Friday, Nickel Beer. Saturday, LA Rock. Sunday, Chubby Carrier and Bayou Swamp Band. Tickets now at rockandbowl.com.
A bit of high thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
And taking a look at what's happening on the roadways. School zones will be going into effect shortly, so please be mindful of them. Other than that, we have no crashes, no breakdowns to report at this time.
05.
Good morning and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como and Tracy Wertz here with you.
Good morning and happy Monday. It is December the 4th.
Yes, it is. So today is a bunch of interesting days. Let's go ahead and start off with today is Santa's List Day.
Oh.
Yes, which kind of makes sense. We are at the beginning of December. Give Santa some time to get toys ready and such. So today is also Wildlife Conservation Day today.
Okay.
And wildlife conservation, seeking to spread awareness about preserving and protecting the natural world and its habitats. Also, today is National Cookie Day.
Oh, yes.
Favorite kind of cookie?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, oatmeal.
Yeah. Oh, okay, oatmeal.
Love oatmeal cookies with walnuts in them. Not that you keep the raisins, but I love oatmeal cookies.
All right, for me, it's just good old chocolate chip.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, doing the LCA games this year, one of the coolest things is, I don't know who does it, but somebody has made like some good homemade cookies for most of the games.
Oh, yeah.
And when I had one the first time, I told Ian, I said, this feels like a warm hug.
Oh,
like, it
yes.
just feels so good.
Yes. Now, let me tell you what. I'll eat just about any cookie.
Yeah.
But oatmeal's my favorite, and I love to bake cookies.
Oh, okay.
I don't bake much else, but I love to bake cookies. So be prepared to get that for Christmas.
Oh, hey, I'll be prepared and I'll be delighted. Thank you. All right, let's see what else. Today is also, let's see here. I've got a few of them, but not a lot of really important ones.
Okay.
Today is Cabernet Franc Day. I don't know what that is.
Oh, me either. I wonder if
Cabernet, we know what that is, but yeah.
I have no idea.
Other than that, it's a bunch of things that I don't even think really deserve to be mentioned.
Sometimes that's exactly the way that it is. 20 days left until Christmas. Just thought I'd mention that. Yeah, the time to shop is winding down.
Yep. And apparently, I don't know if all, but a lot of the major Christmas parades are over now. I mean, the ones that are major to me. So Sonic Christmas Parade was yesterday. You had the Broussard Christmas Parade that happened on Saturday. I never completely realized how a lot of these Christmas parades happen so early in December.
No, typically they do happen the first week in December.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the first parade in Acadiana, and I haven't looked at it, but the first parade in Acadiana is always Breaux Bridge. And typically it's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. But I do know some of the surrounding towns in Acadiana are actually this week. So if you're looking for a place to see Santa roll into town, you will probably find one not far away. On this date, we'll work backwards. In 2021, CNN fired anchor Chris Cuomo less than a week after new information emerged about how he assisted his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as the politician faced sexual harassment allegations earlier in the year. On this date in 2018, French couture house Chanel ended its use of fur and exotic skins following suit of bans by other companies. On this date in 1956, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins gathered for the first and only time for a jam session at Sun Records in Memphis. And on this date in 1791, the first edition of the world's first Sunday paper, The Observer, was published.
And when was that?
1791.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure, that there may have been obviously news, some news distribution method in place, but this was the first time that a Sunday paper was published. Like, okay, we're going to do this every Sunday.
Very cool. KPEL News Time is 6:16. We'll continue on right after this. KPEL News Time is 6:18. It is 54 degrees under mostly cloudy conditions. I would have wished for mostly cloudy conditions on Friday
yes.
night. But we got mostly cloudy and thunderstorms and, most importantly, lightning that came across our area, which had a big impact on our high school football games. Fortunately, of the 8 teams, we got 5 of them through, and we could only get 6 of them through because you had games in which Acadiana teams were playing each other.
Yeah.
So the most we could have gotten was 6. Vermilion Catholic was defeated. Their undefeated season came to an end, and so we ended up getting 5 of the 8 teams into the state championship
That's pretty
games.
amazing.
Yeah.
Really.
Think about it, Tracy. Like, so you have, you have 8 championship games times 2 teams. That's 16. Acadiana area has 5 of those 16 teams. That's almost a third of the total teams in the championships are from the Acadiana area.
Impressive.
Yes.
And I was looking at some of the scores. A lot of them, like they won. It was a solid victory.
Like St. Thomas More winning huge over Shaw.
Right.
And that was a situation where the game was close going into their lightning delay. And they ended up waiting quite a while until I believe after 10 o'clock. Then they resumed their game and STM just started scoring like crazy.
Yeah.
The LCA game that we were doing was the only local game. Now, there were a couple games in the New Orleans, Baton Rouge areas, but the only local game that postponed to the next day. And part of that was, both teams, LCA and Turlings, they can go back home and sleep in their beds that night and resume the next day, as opposed to like a Shaw and STM where Shaw was coming in from the New Orleans area. It wouldn't make sense to send them all the way back home and then send them back the next day.
Right.
And then as a school, they're not going to be able to afford staying in hotel rooms that night. So they just had to wait until the storm finally passed so they could resume their game.
Well, and I texted you yesterday or the day before. I'm like, what? Wait, where's the score? And so, it was interesting to find out about that.
And people still showed up the next day for the LCA game on the Saturday when they resumed at 3.
Well, of course they did.
The stadium was jam-packed, and the atmosphere was incredible. It was just odd. It was an odd feeling being out there on a midday on a Saturday like that.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was, but it was kind of just surreal to see all the support out there for both schools, and turned out to be an amazing game. Another classic between those two schools.
Yeah,
so,
they really, that's just some good teams. You don't make it this far without being a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So LCA going to take on St. Thomas More. That game is at 12 o'clock on Saturday, and we'll have the broadcast on Classic Rock 105.1. And then also, how about Opelousas making it to the state championship game? You were given that information during your newscast. Opelousas and Cecilia, they actually played each other earlier this year, in which Cecilia won by like 3 points.
Oh, wow. So really, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, well, and look, kind of like the STM LCA game, they're both district mates.
Yeah, right.
So they're familiar with each other. So that should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, congratulations also to Acadiana High, as they went and upset some teams to get into this round. And I'm trying to remember who they're playing, but Acadiana making it.
Catholic Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
Catholic of Baton Rouge.
Thank you. And so,
I actually got that right.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. And so Catholic of Baton Rouge, a team that Acadiana has had a hard time with. They played them once or twice the past couple of years. They'll get a chance to play them again on Friday, I believe.
Well, and we learned before the news, which it's in the news, that Opelousas High and all of the feeder schools will be closed on Friday so that fans can travel. Of course, we'll have official news on any of the other schools or systems.
Yeah.
I would bet that there are
a
few.
LCA and STM, they're going to play on Saturday, so they shouldn't have to close anything down. Well, Acadiana probably will, though.
Yeah, and Cecilia.
Yeah, Cecilia.
I looked last night. It may have been posted already this morning. I haven't had a chance to look, but I'm sure that if nothing else, Cecilia High, it stands to reason. I'm not saying that it is.
Right.
I'm just saying that it would not surprise me.
No, absolutely. And the Cecilia Opelousas game, that is going to be on our sibling station, The GOAT.
Okay.
As Bandit will be calling that one. And that was one thing that we talked with him about on the LCA broadcast the other day. He hasn't done a state championship game since Katrina. And, me and Ian, we've been doing this now for 11 years. And for the first 6 years, we didn't get a chance to do a state championship game, which you have people that go longer times without doing it. And then we've been blessed over the past 5 years. This will be our 4th state championship game to get to do.
So do you get to sit in the big box?
Oh, yeah. You're way at the top. Way at the top.
Yeah, but how do you... And that always, like, here's the thing. I mean, I guess you would go, and not you guys, because obviously there's a reason for you to be there. But if I was to go to a game, I don't want to sit way up in the nosebleed.
And they're not going to. If you go to a game, they're going to put you in one of the first two levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They don't open up the top at all. They want the bottoms to fill up as best as possible.
Well, yeah. Because at that point, if you're way at the top, like they look like little bitty dots on the field. And so, I mean, even for Saints games, I guess it would be the experience and the energy in the dome.
Right.
But if I really want to watch a football game, I don't want to go sit up on the, on the ceiling. That just does not appeal to me at all.
And let's just be honest, it's high school football, you can have whole cities come, but, still not fill the bottom.
Right.
So that's that's the good thing is when you pay for your ticket, you get to go sit at a great seat of your choice. And so everyone, of course, goes to those first levels and tries to pack it out as much as possible. And then you have the different schools that come over with their different traditions, and it's a really cool environment.
Right, and I've been a couple of times.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Now, sitting way up at the top, though, as, calling the game, it's kind of the same thing. Like, they're just a bunch of little dots. How do you, they're like screens where you can see the player numbers and all that stuff?
Fortunately, they do have screens that we can look at. Also, bringing up the binoculars, that's what we use, is those binoculars that are a big help.
There's a fly flying around.
And but yeah, they are kind of like little dots. But you watch those players all year long. In our instance, covering LCA, you actually kind of get to know them somewhat, by their shape. You see these athletes play for so long, you know what they look like. So sometimes you don't even have to see the number, but you know their position they're playing, and you know what they look like.
I'd be
even in the uniforms.
I'd be bad at that. I'd be bad at that. But I'm glad that you guys are good at that. I'm glad that you get to take a trip to the Dome. I mean, just probably being there is an experience.
It is.
So yeah, congratulations to all those teams. Good luck to all those. And
it's been a special year.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: is I was reading through the list last night, as someone who really doesn't have a particular affinity or tied to any of those schools. Obviously, I'm going to pull for Acadiana because they're the Acadiana team. But man, how do you
I know, huh? Yeah.
LCA and STM and Opelousas and Cecilia. I mean, it's tough. So I'm just going to say good luck.
Yeah, there you go.
Good luck.
There you go.
Because it's hard to pick a team.
I say, if I were in your position, I'd say good luck and make history. Like LCA and STM made history last year with their memorable performance.
Well, did they meet in the state championship last year too? Okay, so this is a rematch.
A rematch.
Then. Okay, I think you said that.
And it's also a rematch of the district title game that they played this year too. So both teams met for the district title last year. They both met for the district title this year. They both met for the state championship last year. They both met for the state. Going to meet this year for the state championship.
Well, and I was and I know this because I did it in the news, but LCA is what 11-2.
Yeah, they're 11-2.
Yeah, and then but STM is undefeated.
Yes. STM gave LCA one of their losses in what was an amazing game earlier this year. And then LCA lost to Ruston, who is in the state championships this weekend as well. And so both teams played a very competitive schedule. And once they got into the playoffs, they performed really well. LCA, there was a couple times I thought they would beat Turlings by a lot more than what they did, but give credit to Turlings. They just kept fighting. Yeah. And they made it a very competitive game, especially in the end. But LCA was able to hold on and win that game.
Well, and that's going to be the end of the high school football season for this year, and the college season, at least in Louisiana, is not done. We found out, of course, that UL is going to the Arnell Carriers New Orleans Bowl this year. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's been it's been a few years since they've been there. For a while, I remember it was like, it's been 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. For a while, it was like, okay, we're going to the New Orleans Bowl.
Yeah.
And I remember that first New Orleans Bowl trip.
Yeah.
Like,
Never
it was
forget.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And then it became almost...
Yeah.
Kind of, okay, we're going to New Orleans. Okay. And then they went to some other bowls. So I think that having them back at the New Orleans Bowl this year is actually going to be a treat for Cajuns fans.
Well, and it also depends on the record, too. So the Cajuns this year were 6-6.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're at a higher record or a better record, fans will naturally want them to go to a more prestigious bowl.
Right.
Sometimes, though, you're kind of limited because of the conference that you're in. And so the Cajuns the fans would clamor for a better bowl, and I don't blame them. But this year, being 6-6, having to win that last game to get in, the New Orleans Bowl looked amazing to fans, and I'm of the options that were there, I'm pretty sure they're the most excited about New Orleans.
Yeah, and you know what? People can go. It's not a far trip for them. Make a weekend of it.
Yeah.
And then you have LSU that's going to play on New Year's Day.
Yeah, against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so
they're going to Tampa.
Don't be surprised if LSU wins that game pretty big. I don't know. Wisconsin, I always like Wisconsin, but I don't know. When you get those SEC Big Ten matchups like that, SEC teams usually win pretty big. So
Okay.
We'll see.
Fair enough.
We'll see.
Fair enough.
But yeah, they got a New Year's Day bowl, so that's pretty cool.
KPEL News Time, 6:30.
Life. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas High and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. A man has been charged with first-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon after killing one person and injuring several others at a trail ride Saturday. More than 1,000 people were attending the event north of Baton Rouge when the shooting started. One person died, 2 others were injured by gunfire. Several others were injured trying to run from the scene. Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles is now offering eligible Louisiana residents an autism spectrum disorder or a needs accommodation sticker for their vehicle for free. The decal will indicate to law enforcement that an individual has a disability. A statement from a qualified health professional verifying their diagnosis is required to get the decal. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Party at Rock and Bowl all weekend starting on Thursday, Terry and the Zydeco Bad Boys. Friday, Nickel Beer. Saturday, LA Rock. Sunday, Chubby Carrier and Bayou Swamp Band. Tickets now at rockandbowl.com.
A bit of high, thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high, thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
And taking a look at what's happening on the roadways right now. Fortunately, there are no crashes, no breakdowns to report at this time. School zones, though, starting to go into effect. Never mind. Tracy, what you got?
We have one lane of I-10 westbound closed at mile marker 79.
Okay.
That's just on the other side of the Crowley exit due to a pedestrian fatal. We'll have more information as that story develops. But if you're headed west on I-10, you're going to find a slowdown.
All right, KPEL News Time is 6:38 right now, 54 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. So, all right, let's talk some roundabouts, Tracy.
I always said, I've said for a while now that Lafayette, one of the towns in Lafayette, probably Youngsville.
Yes, they are the roundabout capital.
That's exactly, they need to have a roundabout festival.
Yes, they are the roundabout capital of the area. If you drive through Youngsville now, you'll see that they have their different roundabouts, many of them like Christmas themed,
right?
Decorations and stuff going on. They love their roundabouts, and they even, I don't know if you remember this, but whenever someone drove through one of the roundabouts, do you remember that?
Vaguely.
So a little over a year ago when you had a vehicle that literally drove through one of the roundabouts, and then all the memes came out afterwards. Yeah, it was crazy. But Lafayette has been starting to kind of follow Youngsville when it comes to putting in these roundabouts.
Well, you know what? They make sense.
Yeah.
They make sense if you know how to use them properly.
Yes, good point.
It's a zipper.
Good point. Absolutely. And so, so the area that is getting one first is one that I have written about for the past couple of years, and I've said it is like one of the worst intersections, one of the most dangerous intersections in all of Lafayette, and it's the Robley extension at E. Broussard intersection.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Which sits between Kali Saloom and Johnson Street, which are two major roadways, of course, but there's a lot of traffic that comes off of those two roadways, and a lot of that traffic is flying down E. Broussard Road.
Right.
If you're coming off of if you're coming off the Robley extension and you're trying to make a left turn onto E. Broussard, it's scary. I've seen 2 crashes happen in front of me in that area. And, you're calling on people from Robley to have a lot of patience. And what happens is, as some of them are exercising patience, the traffic builds up and goes considerably well down the Robley extension.
Right.
Which makes for a traffic nightmare in that area. So that area is the first one that is going to get a roundabout coming to it, and that's going to be coming in the middle of the year. It was originally scheduled for the end of this year, but it's gotten pushed back a couple times. So it's now scheduled for the middle of this year. And then right after that, there's another roundabout. This one, if you continue to go down E. Broussard Road into W. Broussard Road, and the W. Broussard Road at its intersection with Douillon Road, that area is another one that's in need of a roundabout. Currently, it's a 4-way stop. And traffic builds up considerably in that area. Now, it's not really, I don't find it dangerous because it's a 4-way stop and everyone stops, but the traffic builds up really, really bad in that area.
Yeah.
So you've got a roundabout coming there. Then when you make a right and go down Douillon Road, you're going to head towards its intersection with Rue de Billier.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly. Oh, and let me tell you what.
Yeah.
That's a bad intersection just because People take their lives into their hands when you're making a left off of Rue de Billier.
Yeah.
I always slow down right there because it's one of the back roads to get home. And they just turn left. And you're like, I'm looking ahead of me, and it may be one car and there's nobody behind them. Right. And I might be headed, I don't know, west, I guess it would be on that road. And nobody's behind me. But that person who's making that left is just going to dart out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you get to
that
the point.
That is a frightening intersection because people don't drive smart.
No, you get to the point where, like, if you've been waiting for like 5-10 minutes, it's like, okay, well, then I'm going to have to take a chance to get on. And that's never a good thing.
No.
It's never a good thing. The joke about not making left turns in Lafayette is very real. And a lot of times it's actually not funny. So that area, like you said, desperately needs something.
Yeah, it's kind of like the intersection at the Robley extension at E. Broussard. The thing is, I think that there's not quite as much traffic because there aren't as many residential subdivisions in the area. Yeah. But that is an equally dangerous subdivision in terms of, I think, why it's so dangerous.
You do, though, while you don't have as many residential, you do have more businesses in that area. Though.
True, yeah.
And I think that helps to keep the traffic as busy as it is as well. But that area is not only getting a roundabout, because in the story that I wrote, which you can check out the details at kpel965.com, okay, this is a $7.6 million project. The reason why is because in addition to the new roundabout, they're going to widen Douillon Road with a median and 2 lanes in each direction. They're going to put some J-turns in there along with some turn lanes. They're going to also upgrade the corridor, which is going to consist of sidewalks, which is basically going to help connect pedestrian facilities from Rue de Billier to Johnston Street.
Okay.
So if you think about it, if you continue going down Douillon Road past its intersection with Rue de Billier, you're headed towards Johnston Street.
Okay.
So that's what's going to happen. They're going to go ahead and widen all that. So it's a lot of work that's going to be done.
That is a lot, because I'm thinking of that area, and because I'm there quite frequently.
Yeah.
That's going to be, well, and when it, just like anything else, after the headache of the construction, it's going to be really nice. But during the construction, it's going to be kind of a nightmare.
Because, think about it, in that area, you've got, as you're going back towards Johnston Street, you've got Walgreens, you've got the public library. You got a lot of stuff in that area. So that's going to make it better for pedestrians that have to walk around in that area.
Agreed.
So all of those projects are scheduled to happen one after the other this year. Or not this year, 2024. Okay. So you can check out all the dates.
It's close to 2024,
it is
though.
Close enough.
We're closer to 2024 than we, I think, realize sometimes.
And so you have those things happening. Of course, on the website, we've also got a couple of other projects that are happening now, like the Bluebird Drive extension, which is happening where it's extending Bluebird Drive from Lake Farm Road to Frimbustani. This is by the Como Rec Center, where they're adding in pedestrian sidewalks, bike lanes, and making the area safer for pedestrians by extending that roadway and putting some additional sidewalks and stuff with that. And so just a lot of construction projects happening in Lafayette right now.
That's good. That's good. Well, and growth, it's all about growth.
Yeah, we need it. All right, KPEL News Time is coming up on 6:46.
Latest iPhone update, iOS 17, rolled out a brand new feature called Name Drop. It lets you share your contact information by just bringing iPhones close together. It is on by default. Parents, here's your warning. Police departments nationwide are sounding the alarm about Name Drop's safety implications, particularly for children. It's super easy to share a name, photo, phone number, or email address with someone else nearby. While you do have to approve the transfer of contact info between the devices, it's still risky. Imagine how some creep could use this. Here's how you can take control. Grab your iPhone and dive right into the settings. Hit General, then AirDrop. You'll spot the Bringing Devices Together option. Toggle off Name Drop. A simple switch can give you peace of mind. Hey, win a brand new iPhone 15. You can enter now at commando.com/win.
KBEL News Time, 6:48. It's December the 4th. Tracy and Brandon here this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning.
Christmas is upon us, of course, and there are so many things going on in Acadiana.
Yeah.
Of course, you have the Youngsville Christmas going on with ice. You know, if you want to go ice skating. You've got Santa Claus on the Bayou. You've got, of course, Noel Acadiano Village, which is an Acadiana tradition. But you have other events kind of smattered throughout between now and Christmas time.
Yes, you do. Now, I want to say this. So over the weekend, we got a chance to go to Crossroads Church's production of the Story of Christmas. And it was amazing. Like, for any of you that are listening that either go to Crossroads or that were in the production, like I was telling my wife yesterday, I was thoroughly impressed, not just with the theatrical production that was put on from the talent standpoint, but from the production crew standpoint. Like, they were on point. Of course, the kids loved when you had like the snow coming from the top of the rafters area, but it was so well done with all the musical selections and the timing of the little things that they threw in. It was great, and it was so good to see so many people out there celebrating Christmas. I know you did some Christmas stuff this weekend as well.
I did. John Angotti, who is a vocalist and travels the country with his music ministry, did a couple of shows in Crowley, but one of them was yesterday afternoon at St. Teresa's Catholic Church. They are they're in the midst of a capital campaign right now to renovate the church, which is 102 years old and is in desperate need of some upgrading. But that was a wonderful, wonderful event. I wonder this year, and I'm on their Facebook page, but I'm interested to find out if Asbury United Methodist Church is going to do the, I think it's a drive-through nativity. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I know.
That's always a big deal. But there are so many different, whether it's a pop-up Christmas market or, pancakes with Santa type thing. There are so many events going on around Acadiana that you can bring the kids to. So, yeah, I mean, I like this time of year because all of those events pop up.
Yeah.
And they just make you smile.
No, they do. They do. Now, I know that one story that you worked on was the Louisiana man that was invited to participate on ABC's Christmas Light Night.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, the Daily Iberian did a story on David Landry in New Iberia, and apparently he did it, I think, every year for a while, then he switched to every other year. He puts out 200,000 lights. Now, remember, this is just one guy, one house, 200,000 lights. Puts everything together himself, synchronizes them to music, and someone sent him an invitation. That was kind of unclear, but an invitation to submit a video so that he can be on the next season of the Christmas Light Fight. ABC does this every year. It was just re-upped for season 12. They are actually in the midst of season 11 airing right now. Remember that it takes a while to record all this and edit all this and get everything in and blah, 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 blah. So they'll be working on next year's Christmas light. I almost said flight. That's what I've said. Christmas Light Fight. Yeah. And according to ABC's website, they feature 4 families / households, that are all decorated, and they compete for $50,000.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can you imagine? Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. Now, we have our own competition going on here.
We do.
For the Christmas lights, and it's called Light Up Acadiana. And if you go to the KPEL News app, you submit your photos of your Christmas lights at your home. You have the opportunity to win $500. So go check that out. It's at the KPEL News app. We love seeing the photos come in because what happens is when you send the photos to the KPEL News app, we get to see them first.
Yeah.
And then you get to see them when they go up on the app.
Yeah, because it's not like we hold them all, right?
Yeah.
They continue to get populated. So maybe you just want to see Christmas lights sitting at your desk and, something to make you smile. But you'll find the gallery there. And remember, if you've done it anyway, you've decorated your house, you've put up the beautiful lights, just send in the picture. It could be worth $500.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I feel like this last week was a big week for people setting up Christmas lights. And so,
Agreed.
at least in my neighborhood. And so all of a sudden you're starting to see now all the crazy cool displays just starting to pop up now.
The good thing there's a few good things. One of the good things about us coming to work so early is it's still dark.
Yes.
And I find myself able to see those lights, because when you travel during the day, obviously there's not a whole lot to see.
Yeah.
But because
unless you have a cool Christmas display that doesn't need to be lit up like some people do.
Yes.
We had talked about that last week.
Yeah, but
know?
it's really neat to be able to come to work early in the morning and be able to see all of the lights. And look, take the kids just driving around. That was really a thing when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I can remember my grandmother saying, okay, come, we're going to go look at the Christmas lights. And we just got in the car and drove around till we found Christmas lights. It was just that simple. We didn't, obviously there wasn't the internet. There wasn't a mapping system. We just drove around. We drove around, I was in a smaller town, but we just drove around and looked at Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And it always amazed me how much time, effort, and money people put in just to make other people happy.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, that's a great way of looking at it. Just to put a smile on people's faces as they drive by their house. Yeah, absolutely.
And you could tell that there so much work went into it. Whether it was stringing them up into a point from the house so that it looked like a Christmas tree, or they invested in the figurines, I'll call it, to put on the lawns. Because remember, and I've seen a few of them, it wasn't the blow-ups back in the day. It was the plastic. You guys remember what I'm talking about, right? The plastic candles and the plastic angels. And they were just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we got to head for a break. We've got your Fox Business Report on the way.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Alaska Air has reached a roughly $1.9 billion deal to buy Hawaiian Airlines, which includes about $900 million of Hawaiian's debt. The proposed deal would combine 2 nearly century-old rivals and bring together carriers that largely serve destinations in the Pacific region and operate competing flights to Hawaii. The airlines will retain their separate brands, but say together they'll have broader reach. The deal is expected to close in 12 to 18 months, but could face resistance from U.S. regulators. And Bitcoin continues its surge, extending its year-long rally overnight to push past 42,000 for the first time since April of 2022. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Wednesday, the final GOP debate of the year is on News Nation, America's fastest growing cable news network. SiriusXM's Megyn Kelly, News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas, and the Washington Free Beacon's Eliana Johnson moderate a live primetime event from the University of Alabama as the candidates make their case to America on the only network for all America. The News Nation Republican primary debate. Live Wednesday, 8 Eastern. To find News Nation on your TV, go to joinnn.com.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Online at MatthewJames.com.
The U.S. military in action in the Middle East again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. At sea and on land, where Fox's Jonathan Savage reports.
It's described as a self-defense strike on an imminent threat. We're told a group of fighters appeared to be preparing a drone or rocket attack targeting U.S. forces in Iraq. Before they could do any damage, they were taken out by a one-way United States drone. The Islamic resistance in Iraq, which is backed by Iran, says 5 of its members were killed.
This after Iran-linked militants have targeted U.S. forces in the region more than 70 times in recent weeks. In the Red Sea, an American warship, the USS Carney, fired at Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, defending 3 commercial ships that had come under attack. Now to Gaza.
We've seen Black Hawk helicopters likely evacuating casualties to hospitals in central Israel. You can hear some of that artillery in the distance. A very large fire mission taking place against the northern part of the Gaza Strip right now. It's day 59 of the war between Israel and Hamas.
Fox's Trey Youngston wrote Israel.
Israel is expanding their operation to the southern part of Gaza, now targeting positions on the ground near the city of Khan Yunis.
Now, Israel's been urging Palestinians to evacuate areas of heavy fighting. Officials with the Hamas-run health ministry say more than 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli attacks. The Air Force says divers have found wreckage of the Air Force Osprey aircraft that crashed last week off the coast of Japan. They've also found the remains of 5 crew members. 1 other crew member was found last week. A former American diplomat who used to be the U.S. ambassador to Bolivia under arrest in Florida. Manuel Rocha accused of
working to promote the Cuban government's interests over the course of his 25-year diplomatic career, much of his time and work spent in Latin America during the Cold War.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Spotify is going to lay off 17% of the music streaming services workforce. America's listening to Fox News.
With the holidays upon us, the increase in traveling, shopping, and connecting online also heightens the need to protect your identity and finances with LifeLock. Identity thieves see this time of year as an opportunity to drain your accounts, open new loans in your name, and damage your financial future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might miss on your own. Don't let the busy holiday season catch you off guard. Save up to 25% off your first year with promo code CLAY. LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes who risk their lives for our communities and our country. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. He sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training. Tunnel to Towers provided his wife and 2 daughters with a mortgage-free home. Join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good in their honor. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
There's a manhunt in Dallas, Texas for whoever went on a shooting rampage in a house yesterday, killing 3 adults and a 1-year-old little boy. A 15-year-old girl was wounded, now in a hospital. Police still looking for the gunman. There was also a deadly attack in a home in Queens, New York City, but that killer was found and killed.
Police have identified the suspect as Courtney Gordon, whom they say stabbed a woman, a man, and 2 children to death, all likely members of the same family. Another woman was also stabbed and critically hurt. NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry said officers spoke to Gordon as he left the house.
Basically a casual conversation. Hey, did you hear anything? Do you know what's going on? And the male kind of nodded, and then he drew a knife from off his person, and he immediately attacked both officers.
One officer was slashed in the neck, the other in the head, just before Gordon was shot and killed. Both officers are expected to recover. In New York, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks could fall to start the week after gains last week put the Dow at a new high for the year. Sunday night football came down to the last minute.
Mahomes going to buy the time, circle around, look, flip it up to the end zone. Kelsey down there, run a contact. Incomplete. No flag. Packers win.
Green Bay held on to beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-19 on NBC. Earlier, San Francisco routed Philadelphia 42-19. Indianapolis beat Tennessee in overtime. Houston snapped Denver's 5-game win streak. Atlanta beat the New York Jets to take the NFC South Division lead. Arizona upset Pittsburgh, Miami, Detroit, and Tampa Bay. And both LA teams, the Rams and Chargers, were all winners as well. In college football, Florida State fans are angry. The team was left out of the college football playoff Final Four after finishing the season undefeated. Texas and Alabama were chosen ahead of Florida State. Both teams have 1 loss. Michigan and Washington, the undefeated top 2. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the Cape Hill News app. Now the headlines from the Cape Hill News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas High and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Your news update brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock and ready for delivery. Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Welcome home.
A bit of high, thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high, thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
And right now, taking a look at what's happening on the roadways. School zones are in effect right now, so please be mindful of them. We do have a hazard being reported in the roadway, Louisiana Avenue at Webb Avenue. That's Louisiana Avenue at Webb Avenue. Also, we have some crashes to tell you about. Johnson Street at Ambassador Caffrey. That's Johnson at Ambassador. Ambassador at Crescent Ranch Parkway. Ambassador at Crescent Ranch Parkway. Also, we have a crash. This is, let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a traffic signal malfunction on Surrey Street. Let's see if we can get a better location here for you. Surrey Street at its intersection with where Fisher and Blue Boulevard come together. So that's on Surrey Street at the intersection where Fisher and Bluebird come together. Your national anthem is brought to you by Hulco Printers, serving Acadiana since 1972. Buy local, shop local, support Acadiana.
To honor America and perform our national anthem, please welcome 3-time Grammy winner, Pink.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes
Good morning, and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Pink bringing us in with the national anthem this morning. Good morning, Brandon Como. Tracy Words here with you.
It's funny. You should say, Pink. I was... Yesterday was a day, it was wonderful. It was quiet at my house.
Yeah.
My husband was working. Everybody, and it was wonderful. So I was scrolling through all of the different videos, the reels and stuff that you find on social media. And there's a video of Pink watching a young lady sing one of her songs.
Oh, okay.
And this young lady was just like amazing. And Pink just kept looking at her and saying, she's better than me. And Pink's I think she's funny. I like Pink a lot. And
she's very real.
Oh, absolutely.
Very real.
And so she said, now I know what that song's supposed to sound like. And she said, wait, is this girl like putting out records and signed with an agency or whatever?
Yeah.
And whoever was on the other side of the camera said no. And she said, well, we need to fix that.
That's cool.
And it's a really cute video that I've
Yeah.
actually seen a couple of times, but just seeing her reaction to this girl singing of her songs is pretty amazing.
I remember when she first came out. I mean, like I really wasn't a fan, but as she's become a mom, I've seen some interviews that she's done where she's talked about her daughter, and as the cool story behind that national anthem when she actually had the flu. I don't know how she pulled that off and did so well with it.
Oh yeah.
I've actually, I'm actually very impressed by her.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool story that you shared that I didn't even know that one. But I'm not surprised because, again, she's a very raw, real person.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I think just as she's gotten older and she's, kids tend to soften all of us.
Oh, yeah. They humble us for sure.
Oh, yes, they definitely do. So, no, that's a pretty cool short story you got to share there.
We are just about 30 days, just a little more than 30 days away from when our new governor takes office, as well as some of the new legislators. And according to Louisiana Radio Network, with a GOP supermajority, of course, in the legislature, leaders from both sides of the aisle are weighing in on the issues that they will address in 2024. Newly elected chair of the House Democratic Caucus, Matthew Willard, says the first item they will address is, of course, the state's congressional map. That has to be redone. And District Judge Shelley Dick has to sign off on it that, yes, this works. Again, all indications are pointing to the fact that Governor-elect Jeff Landry will call a special session, which couldn't constitutionally begin before January 15th. Now, they only have until January 30th to redraw the new map, so it's going to be definitely a tight turnaround at best, we'll say.
I just want to know, okay, if they're going to call a special session on crime, I'm just curious, how are you going to fix crime from the legislative side of things? I mean, are you just going to make sentences harsher? I know they did a little bit of that in the last couple sessions where they put bills out that would make, sentences harsher, mandatory minimums for certain crimes and stuff like that. But the problem is a lot more complicated than just laws coming out of Baton Rouge.
Agreed. And I don't know. And what Brandon is referring to is New Iberia Senator-elect and former House GOP leader Blake Miguez expects that Governor-elect Landry will call a special session to address crime before they meet in regular session in March. So, you bring up an excellent point. Is it, if I'm just kind of throwing it up against the wall and seeing what sticks, is it hiring more police officers? I mean, I think that even if you open up more jobs and fund police to a greater extent from a state level, I think there's still the issue of filling those positions. Because if you talk to a lot of police departments, especially at the municipal level, it's filling those jobs. Now, does part of that plan again look like funneling down state dollars to local governments to fund police. I mean, that may be it, but can we afford it?
Yeah.
Always is the big question mark. I think that, and you saw this last week when Jeff called the press conference in New Orleans. And he named a lot of the new leaders, like the new commander, I think his name was Robert Hodges, as the Louisiana State Police commander. And the reason that he held that particular press conference in New Orleans is because of the insane crime rate there.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just tough for them to get it under control. So do they funnel more money into New Orleans to fight crime? I mean, I don't know. Is it that they call in somebody, something like the National Guard? I mean, I don't know. And to your point, I don't know what they can do at the legislative level other than put more money behind it.
Because, I mean, you're setting yourself up for a big disappointment if you talk about fixing crime, but then crime doesn't start getting fixed.
Right.
I'm not saying it's impossible. That's not at all what I'm saying. But, I mean, when you have police forces that aren't where they need to be because there's not enough people working the police forces, you talk about in New Orleans where, in my opinion, you have a leadership problem, where you have a mayor who sends messages to carjackers that, when she showed up in court and stood on behalf of the carjackers, that sends a terrible message to both sides. There's a lot of things that have to change. Some of them are within our grasp as voters to be able to change them. And some of them are just at the heart of a man or the heart of a woman.
Right.
And I don't know how much they talk about legislating morality. I don't know how much you're going to be able to do that.
No, and I agree with it. And so, again, we circle back to that question.
Yeah.
What, as a legislature, power do they have over it? And really the only thing would be money. Again, funneling that money in to hopefully maybe increase pay for police officers so that it becomes more attractive to be a police officer. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what solutions they come up with fighting it at that level. Willard also says that one of the biggest concerns is, of course, rising property insurance premiums, and legislators are eager to see what ideas the new insurance commissioner will present to them. And I think that is absolutely smart to put that at the top of the list.
Because insurance is something they can fix. For
Right,
sure.
right. I mean, because they can monitor, regulate what insurance carriers are able to do, or to the rates and so forth and so on. But again, I was scrolling through social media yesterday and saw a story about a woman in Louisiana who's literally selling her house because she cannot afford the property insurance. And and we had this discussion, I don't know, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. And I will encourage you, if you're listening and you had a huge increase in your property insurance rate, look and see and make sure that you aren't on Louisiana Citizens. And if you are, then start shopping.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you what, I did that thinking, well, surely I'm on Louisiana Citizens because nobody else will write for my house for whatever reason. It could be the age of the home. It could be, the roof, the way it is. I mean, there's a number of reasons. And so I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I don't have another option. That's why I'm with them. And I thought, no, I'm going to start shopping. And sure enough, found a few policies, few insurance companies that absolutely would write another policy. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm paying less now for wind, hail. Well, it's all of them. It's hazard, wind, and hail than I was for hazard, wind, hail. Anyway, I'm saving a lot of money.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to articulate it right now, but do some shopping. And if, like, let's say you escrow and, they've paid your premium already, it's not too late to get with your mortgage company and say, look, I found another insurance provider. There's some finagling you need to do to get them to pay one and give you a reimbursement, et cetera, et cetera. But if it went up that much, it's definitely worth it, because I'm not kidding when I say that people are seeing their insurance bills, which were already high, double. If I had stayed with the insurance configuration I had previously, my monthly insurance bill was greater than my mortgage.
Wow. Yeah.
And
that should never be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should never be.
I mean, and so I absolutely understood where this woman was coming from. I mean, that makes no sense when you can't afford to stay in your house simply because your insurance rates are so high. Something's broken. Wow. Something big is broken.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like you said, you just have to shop. That happened a few years ago with car insurance, where on a lower level, but it's still important, where, the car insurance was getting ridiculous. And it was like, okay, now it's time to start shopping. And when I did, was able to find someone who was able to work, a company able to work with me and able to do well by me. And so, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it looks like you're locked into something, but you're really not.
Yeah. Ask questions. The thing is, it doesn't cost anything to ask questions. Ask the questions, figure out if there's a way that you can save yourself some money.
But all that being the case, going back to what we started this segment about, the legislature and the new insurance commissioner, like they have to do something about how insurance is becoming out of control.
Right, and I'm interested to see the plan as well. KPEL News Time 7:26.
The loudest voices on the biggest issues impacting your life.
Hi, hello, welcome to the Griffon Show.
Continuing the long tradition of informing you in Acadiana. News Talk 96.5, KPEL. Depend on it.
Yep, stand by.
All right, KPEL News Time is coming up on 7:29, and so we have a couple people wanting to weigh in. Let's read from our app right now. Andrea from New Iberia says, my insurance company dropped us last year, had to get another, which doubled, which put escrow on the shortage. My new house note, including escrow, tripled. A third of my payment is mortgage. 2/3 is insurance.
Yep. No, it's true. And when I got my, they send a new payment book when you do the escrow. And before my new insurance policy went into effect and they refigured my escrow, my house note, the money I paid to my mortgage company, doubled.
Oh, wow.
Doubled. Insanity.
All right, let's go to the phone lines right now. As we got Steve who wants to share with us. Thanks, Steve. Welcome in, man.
Hey, good morning, guys. Listen, this is a very important topic because everyone is suffering from it. One of the biggest problems that I've run across, and I'm dealing with right now on several levels, is that the insurance companies are refusing to write actual cash value policies. They want to write their inflated replacement cost values. Right. So a $250,000 house that would be insured for $200,000 under an actual cash value is insured for $400,000, and the premiums skyrocket. And the other thing that we should be doing is allowing policyholders to shop nationwide. In Louisiana, you're restricted to Louisiana-approved companies, and then once you have a broker, that broker is the only one you're going to deal with. You can't shop a policy. I've sent out requests for proposals and had brokers tell me, sorry, the one you're with has locked me out.
Wow.
I can't shop it.
Wow.
So just allowing us to shop nationwide. I'd like to be able to go to Wisconsin and see if they'll write a policy. And also tailor the policy. The wind hail damage that the roofers scam is another thing. Just eliminate it. I don't need it. I'll take the risk.
Right. And being able to decide that. No, and that makes you make a good point. If we should be able to have that latitude to make that decision for ourselves. And I think that
How much risk am I willing to accept?
Well, yeah, and if you have a mortgage company, of course that mortgage company has some say in that. But they're actually only looking to protect their investment. So
their asset, right.
And so if it's not replacement costs, they're just going to, you may not need that coverage. So why does the government feel the need to tell us what we have to have?
I asked one insurance company that if I take the policy, which was the replacement cost value, if I took that policy and my house burned down, would they write me a check for $500,000?
And the answer?
And they said, "Oh no, we'll replace your house." And I said, "What if I don't want to replace the house? Will you write me a check for $500,000?" No, that would be unconscionable. And I said, "Well, why am I paying for insurance that I will never collect?"
Yeah.
Good point.
No, you're right.
Why am I paying for anything that I will? I might as well go to a casino. I probably have better odds.
Yep.
So anyway, I'll let this discussion roll on, but that's my thoughts about Louisiana insurance.
Well, we certainly appreciate you weighing in. And let me tell you, everyone is feeling this pinch. If you own a house, then you are most certainly being affected by this. And I want to see what real plans, the new insurance commissioner has in mind to help rectify the situation.
I'm going to say one other thing. If you're a tenant, you are going to be affected too. Because if I own property and I've got to rent it, I've got to cover those insurance costs.
Right.
And if my insurance doubles, my rents are going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way of the world. So even the poorest among us are going to get hit the worst because their property insurance goes up the highest. And that's another scam.
Such an excellent point.
Okay. Well, I'm going to listen to all the rest of the comments. I don't think they're going to be pretty.
Oh, no. Thank you so much. Be safe out there.
All right, KPEL News Time is 7:33. Tracy's got a look at news coming up. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas High and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. A man has been charged with first-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon after killing one person and injuring several others at a trail ride Saturday. More than 1,000 people were attending the event north of Baton Rouge when the shooting started. One person died, 2 others were injured by gunfire. Several others were injured trying to run from the scene. Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles is now offering eligible Louisiana residents an autism spectrum disorder or a needs accommodation sticker for their vehicle for free. The decal will indicate to law enforcement that an individual has a disability. A statement from a qualified health professional verifying their diagnosis is required to get the decal. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Your news update is brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding. They have over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock. Take a look at homefern.com.
A bit of high thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, I'll take a look at traffic right now. School zones are in effect across Acadiana. We do have some traffic issues to report to you. One of them is the crash Ambassador Caffrey at Crescent Ranch Boulevard, Ambassador at Crescent Ranch. Also Johnson Street at Ambassador Caffrey. That's Johnston at Ambassador Caffrey. Other than that, Tracy, do we still have that information from earlier on I-10?
Yeah, it looks like it's been cleared up.
Okay, good.
Winky Dinky Dog texted us and said that it looked like things had been moved.
Good.
Off of the interstate, but you may find a slowdown interstate westbound around the Crowley exit still as things just get moving.
Walked into a very interesting conversation there,
Yeah.
Chris Babin, Acadiana Better Business Bureau president, joining us. KPEL News Time coming up on 7:42 as we've been talking about insurance this morning.
Man. And let me tell you, we apparently are not the only ones that are upset by all of this.
No,
Thank you so much for your comments.
We're not getting any breaks over at BBB or my household either. So
no, and it really has gotten to the point where it's, I think that we felt it most acutely this year because of the homeowners insurance hikes.
Yeah.
But you've seen car insurance going up, and actually some companies, typically a car insurance company, and you guys will be able to help me out on this. If you have so many claims, they'll drop you. A lot of times it's been 2 or 3, right? I mean, but now they drop you a lot sooner. And your insurance rates are just going up. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah, you're paying more and more every year for the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not making that much more.
Exactly. Exactly. Everything is going up. And, then we could get into the whole health insurance conversation. But
and you say you're paying for the same thing, but actually in some instances you're paying more for less coverage.
You're right.
So, it's... inflation is hitting everybody.
Yeah.
And insurance is going right along with it. Man.
Well, and we've gotten very used to being able to have affordable insurance, not having your deductibles, crazy high. And what's happening is, to your point, Brandon, is you're having to subscribe to policies where your deductibles are so much higher, but you're still paying the same amount that you were paying when your deductible was lower. So you aren't getting the same thing that you were paying for previously. And I mean, we could get into the whole tort reform and all of that when it comes to car insurance, but we have to have insurance, and I wouldn't want to go without it. But we are getting back to the days, and those of a certain age will remember the days pre-copay where you had an like a health insurance policy, right? And you just had a deductible. You met your deductible, and then the company covered you 80-20 or whatever it was. And it seems more and more like that is becoming the case, where you have insurance for, I'm gonna use a term that's probably hyperbolic, but is more catastrophic. You only have it to protect yourself if something happens that's extreme, versus helping you along the way. You're paying however much per month or however much per year, and you can't use it until you hit this astronomical threshold.
Yeah.
But you can't go without it.
You can't go without
it.
And then when
so
the
they have you
coverages
over a barrel.
When the coverages are decreased, you're left kind of finding some of these bridge insurance companies to figure out, in this event, you have this coverage to help bridge between what your health insurance will pay, and it's a tough game out there.
Well, it is. And when you talk about like car insurance, right? So you go buy a new car, chances are, the majority of us, there is a quote unquote gap between what the insurance company will cover, because insurance companies only going to give you up to the value of the car and what you owe on the car. And a lot of people have that negative equity. And so you're having to pay for your car insurance, and then you may have to pay for gap insurance to cover, so you want to talk about, we thought we were insurance poor once upon a time.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah. I mean, it's just insane. And, for a lot of these policies, especially things like homeowners and car insurance, Louisiana, it's just expensive to be insured in Louisiana.
Yeah, that's our staff's Christmas gift this year, is insurance for next year.
No.
It's true.
It used to be understood that, we have coverage at BBB for our employees, and it's, cost has continued to increase on everything that we spend money on. And then premiums, 10-15% a year increase on health insurance premiums is leaving, 6-7 years. We're paying double. We're not doubling our revenue.
No, our paychecks.
Exactly.
Or our paychecks, for that matter.
It's a tough situation, not only as individuals, but for people trying to run a business.
Yeah.
So JJ from Lafayette says, we're moving to Texas ASAP due to Louisiana tax insurance. And I wonder, for how many people that have been leaving the state, how much of a factor that is in them leaving the state. Because our insurance structure is tax structure, very different than our neighbors, especially to the west.
Well, and if you look at, I think that you're right. I think that you definitely are going to save, if you move to another state. But even in Louisiana, you're going to see, if you already haven't started seeing it, an exodus north of I-10.
Yeah.
Because it's so incredibly expensive. My husband and I, we always joke about the wall, the I-10 wall. Because if you live south of I-10, your homeowner's insurance is a lot higher than if you move north of I-10.
Wow. I didn't really think of I-10 as like the wall for insurance.
We learned, and it may not be that way right now, but I remember, maybe 20 years ago when we bought my house, and we were, talking to realtors, and you look into everything, and you look into insurance costs, and you look into all of this. At that time, we were told that if you move north of I-10, you're going to pay less in insurance. And I don't know that that's the case now, and somebody out there might know better than I do, as it stands now. But if you think about it, Vermilion Parish, St. Martin Parish, St. Mary Parish. Well, I mean, some of St. Martin Parish, especially things like Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
The coastal areas, they all fall below I-10 or south of I-10.
Yep.
And their homeowners insurance is ridiculous. If they can even get it.
Yeah.
If they can even get it.
Right. Well, keep the comments coming in the KPEL News app. We love hearing the responses, not obviously the subject matter of it, but we love hearing your responses and hearing what you have to say about this. KPEL News time is 7:49. It is 55 degrees. We'll take a break, and Chris, we'll talk to you about what you came in to talk about.
All right.
This is your number one news, weather, and traffic source in Acadiana. This is News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Depend on it.
Anytime I need to see a face, I just close my eyes and I am taken to a place where you grip.
KPEL News time is 7:52. It is 55 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. So, all right, now we reset with Acadiana Better Business Bureau President Chris Babin. So what'd you come in to talk about today?
Insurance. I'll tell you, talk about insurance. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So if that's not bad enough, though, we had a lady come into our office last week. So I didn't bring a printout from Scam Tracker because she just came in herself, wanted to tell us about this. And as if it's not bad enough with all the, increase in cost, and especially insurance and those kinds of things, her lease ended at the end of November, and she was looking for a new home. She rents, historically, she hasn't rented apartments, but she's rented like single-family homes.
Right, yeah.
So she found one for rent online. She was texting back and forth with the person. They said that they had some other people interested. She needed to pay a deposit, which was $2,000.
Wow.
This was like mid-November. She had finally identified the property. Lease was going to be up. She needed to be moved out and into the new place for December 1st. So she came into the office last week, texting back and forth with this person. And at some point, they weren't really communicating anymore. And she hadn't been able to see the property yet. She knew where the house was located at. She had looked it up on Google. She went by. Gentleman answered the door. And she's like, I'm just here. I hadn't been able to get in touch with you. He didn't know what she was talking about. He's like, this is my home. We've been living here for years. It's not for rent. I'm not sure who you were talking to. So she came to our office, was showing us all of the text messages. She had sent the $2,000 via Cash App. So you're not going to be able to recover those funds. The phone number, you can't call it. It just like bump, bump, bump. It's not like a real number.
Right.
So the number was being spoofed that the person was texting from. She had found the listing online. And we've had releases come out about this before. And this is one of the ones that's like, all right, that's a little bit too much. Like, is that actually happening? Well, this lady was right here in Acadiana, a home right here in Lafayette, being posed as a rental property. Of course, it was a great price. It was something she was going to be able to afford for a little bit nicer home than she was used to being able to rent. And the money's gone. The property's not for rent. She still has a lease that ends on November 30th and has been spending weeks working with this person, thinking she was getting set up to move in. And now left without somewhere to stay. So we hadn't heard back from her. There was still a couple days left of the month when she came in to, she was going to go try to figure that out.
Yeah, because we're at December 4th now.
Yeah, that was Friday was the 1st. So we gave her some resources to make sure she was protecting any other information she had given them, because she did say there was a quote-unquote application she had to fill out with her information on it.
Right.
That they wanted to do a background check. So, of course, her social and stuff.
Well,
was
and
on
none
there.
of that would send up red flags.
And it's that easy, it's that scary that you can go online and find something that you think is a property for rent. Come to find out, knock on the door, they had no idea about it.
Wow.
$2,000 gone, still looking for a place to live with a couple days left in the month. And she told us, like, that was my deposit in first month's rent. Like, I don't have money to go do this again in a couple days to find somewhere else.
Wow.
So, it's heartbreaking when those people come in and we hear about these things. And of course, there's resources and stuff we have for them, but you can't fix the damage that has been done.
No. And you think about, well, do you or can you file a police report? I'm sure you can.
We encouraged her to, yeah.
But whoever that is, they're gone. They probably are sitting somewhere in Brandon laughs when I say Poughkeepsie, but, Timbuktu or something, and I'm not trying to be funny, but they're sitting somewhere else.
Yeah, they're not.
And they're on to the next victim.
Yep. So a couple things. We would encourage you never to pay a deposit until you see a property in person.
Yeah.
Able to walk through the property, not drive by it, because obviously, there could be hiding the fact that somebody lives there. And then we talk a lot about these payment applications where you can send people money. There's little to no protection on those things. If I'm buying something from Brandon, I feel comfortable with that. If I'm paying a deposit to rent a property, somebody I've never even talked to on the phone, I don't know that I'm going to send money that way, because if something doesn't work out, like in this instance, I'm not getting that money back.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That makes my stomach hurt for.
Yeah, that's terrible. Chris, as always, man, we always appreciate the information you share to hopefully get information like that out to help people avoid getting in situations like that.
Thank you, guys.
All right, KPEL News Time coming up on 7:57. You've got your Fox Business Report on the way, and then we'll continue on with Acadiana's Morning News, the third hour, right after this.
The Fox Business Report, brought to you by Paul's Jewelry, Acadiana's trusted family jeweler for over 65 years.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Streaming giant Spotify says it's cutting nearly a fifth of its workforce, about 1,500 people around the world, in its third round of layoffs this year. CEO Daniel Ek, in a message to employees posted on the company's blog, said the jobs were being cut as part of a strategic reorientation. Spotify has expanded its podcasting and audiobooks and struck expensive deals with well-known figures such as the Obamas and Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle. And while the shifts have helped Spotify attract listeners and subscribers, it's struggled to become consistently profitable. Alaska Air has reached a roughly $1.9 billion deal to buy Hawaiian Airlines. The airlines will retain their separate brands, but said together they'll have broader reach. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Wednesday, the final GOP debate of the year is on News Nation, America's fastest growing cable news network. Sirius XM's Megyn Kelly, News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas, and the Washington Free Beacon's Eliana Johnson moderate a live primetime event from the University of Alabama as the candidates make their case to America on the only network for all America, the News Nation Republican primary debate. Live Wednesday, 8 Eastern. To find News Nation on your TV, go to joinnn.com.
Save money on your printing needs. Call Cartridge World today and ask about their no-cost printer program, too. Cartridge World, 337-984-9000, cartridgeworldusa.com. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at MatthewJames.com.
The U.S. goes on the attack in the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, going after Iran-backed militants in Iraq, killing 5 of them in a drone strike. A defense official tells Fox it happened after those militants were seen preparing an attack suspected to be targeting Americans after 75 prior attempted attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. Republican Congressman Pat Fallon tells Fox Business we haven't retaliated enough.
You know what about bullies and terrorists? If you do nothing, they'll hit you more. They'll continue to do so, just like a bully would. You have to stand up, and there has to be repercussions.
The U.S. was also engaged in the Red Sea.
The U.S. Navy says it shot down 3 drones in a multi-layered wave of attacks by Iranian proxies earlier Sunday. Houthi rebels claim their drones were firing at commercial ships that are linked to Israel.
Fox's Anita Vogel. The war rages in Gaza after the ceasefire ended.
We just ran for cover about a minute ago as there was incoming fire here along the Israel-Gaza border.
Fox's Trey Inks says Israel shot them down.
Now, the Israelis say overnight they hit 200 different targets inside Gaza, bringing the total number since the war began to more than 10,000.
Israel's also going after Hamas targets in the south of Gaza, urging Palestinians to evacuate, though some of them already displaced say there's nowhere to go. The U.S. has been pressuring Israel to reduce civilian casualties in Gaza, but that is not enough for some pro-Palestinian Democrats.
Standing behind a lectern reading Abandon Biden, Ceasefire Now, Muslim community leaders from Michigan, Minnesota, Arizona, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, and Pennsylvania pledged to withdraw support of President Biden.
Fox's Jared Halpern of the White House. Police in Dallas, Texas keep searching for a killer the day after a shooting at a house. 3 adults and a 1-year-old boy were killed. A 15-year-old girl survived and is in a hospital. It happened the same day. A man in New York City murdered 4 relatives in a Queens home, 2 of them kids. He then stabbed 2 police officers as he left. They're expected to recover. One of them shot and killed the killer. America's listening to Fox News.
With the holidays upon us, the increase in traveling, shopping, and connecting online also heightens the need to protect your identity and finances with LifeLock. Identity thieves see this time of year as an opportunity to drain your accounts, open new loans in your name, and damage your financial future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might miss on your own. Don't let the busy holiday season catch you off guard. Save up to 25% off your first year with promo code CLAY. LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes who risk their lives for our communities and our country. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. He sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training. Tunnel to Towers provided his wife and 2 daughters with a mortgage-free home. Join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good in their honor. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
The Iowa caucuses are 6 weeks from today, the first contest in the 2024 White House race. Former President Trump remains the Republican frontrunner. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is battling Nikki Haley for a distant second place. He's got some political turmoil in his home state.
An investigation into rape allegations against Florida Republican Party Chair Christian Ziegler continues, and no charges have been filed. An affidavit says Ziegler's accuser, whom he has known for 20 years, claims he forced his way into her apartment and raped her in October. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has called the situation a distraction to the party and says while Ziegler is innocent until proven guilty, he should quit. In a statement to state Republicans, Ziegler says he and his wife, Bridget Ziegler, co-founder of the conservative group Moms for Liberty, are being targeted because they are, quote, such loud political voices. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The Supreme Court hears an opioid-related case today, considering a bankruptcy settlement involving Purdue Pharma, the company that makes OxyContin. It's accused of helping spark a crisis in drug overdoses and deaths. That deal would shield the Sackler family, which is giving up control of Purdue, from civil lawsuits. There's some new streaming at Spotify. Employees going out the door.
Streaming giant Spotify says it's cutting nearly a fifth of its workforce, about 1,500 people around the world, in its third round of layoffs this year. CEO Daniel Ek, in a message to employees posted on the company's blog, said the jobs were being cut as part of a strategic reorientation. Spotify has expanded its podcasting and audiobooks and struck expensive deals with well-known figures such as the Obamas and Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle. And while the shifts have helped Spotify attract listeners and subscribers, it's struggled to become consistently profitable. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks could fall to start the week. Dow futures down more than 100 points. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas High and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Party at Rock and Bowl all weekend starting on Thursday, Terry and the Zydeco Bad Boys. Friday, Nickel Beer. Saturday, LA Rock. Sunday, Chubby Carrier and Bayou Swamp Band. Tickets now at rockandbowl.com.
A bit of high thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
And taking a look at what's happening on the roadways right now. School zones have been in effect. We also have stalled vehicle on Congress Street. This is Congress Street, right near the Southwest Medical Center. Also, we have a crash Ambassador Caffrey at Settlers Trace. That's Ambassador at Settlers. Also, we have a crash Johnston at Ambassador Caffrey. That's Johnston at Ambassador Caffrey. Please be safe out there and just have a good morning.
See life.
Good morning and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como and Tracy Wirtz here with you.
Good morning. It is 8:12. It is December the 4th as we are really in the thick of holiday shopping season right now.
Yes, we are. And there's something that is baffling economists, and it's called YOLO spending. You know, you only live once.
Yeah.
The saying. So basically what's happening is, so they're looking at some numbers. One of the numbers that they're seeing is Black Friday shopping. Sales at brick and mortar stores, okay, these are just brick and mortar stores, were up 1.1% from last year. Online alone, U.S. shoppers spent a record $9.8 billion online alone. Okay, so then consumers spent another $12.4 billion on Cyber Monday, an eye-popping 9.6% increase over last year. So as all the insurance prices and I know insurance we're talking about mostly here in Louisiana. Inflation is felt all across the nation. As all that is going up, people are spending more and more money, and economists are trying to figure out why.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I kind of think I know in the sense of, I think that people are just at the point now where they're like, look, I have the money, or I want to go ahead and do what I've maybe always wanted to do. Whether it's buying a big item or taking some big trip, because if the future's looking bleak, I don't know if I'll get to do it then.
Well, but you wonder, and I mean, and I'm sure economists, well, no, I know they know a lot more than I do. But if costs are up, and we know they are, is it that they are spending? They're buying more stuff, or are they buying the same thing and the cost is just going up? So that increases the amount of money they spend.
Now that is a great point. That is a great point.
You may go out and buy, 10 gifts for the same 10 people you've always bought for. And rather than having, let's say it's, I'm just going to toss out a number, $25 a gift, right?
Okay.
You have to increase the amount of money that you spend on a gift because the cost of everything has gone up.
Right.
So is it, in fact, that they are spending more money because of the, look, I got to spend it anyway, or I'm buying more stuff, or are they buying the same things and the cost is just going up? Because, I mean, personally, and it's not gifts, right? But we go to the grocery store, usually once a week. We, like most people, I'm spending more money at the grocery store than I did previous to inflation really hitting, as I think everyone is. And I'm not buying more.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, I'm buying less.
Right.
It's just costing me more to buy what I need.
No, yeah, it's true. So that is a really good point. And maybe that better explains than what economists are saying about this as well.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't better, but
or maybe it's a mix of both.
Yeah, and
somehow.
that's definitely possible. And I'm interested to find out. Like I'm looking here and I'm going to read more into it, but like MasterCard, what they're saying, or people's, is the amount of credit card debt going up? And a lot of times, unfortunately, when you open that floodgate, let's say you weren't a person who shopped using credit cards.
Right.
When you break the seal, so to speak, you just keep going.
Okay.
So there's a lot of questions, I think. When you look at the numbers just on their face, it may seem like people are spending more money just because they're buying more stuff.
Right.
But I wonder if it's, I would like to see what information goes into that data.
Now, you are right about when you use a card, it is so much easier to spend money than when you feel cash leaving your hands. And,
absolutely.
And the convenience of credit and debit cards and just the online shopping, I mean, there's no doubt it is just the money that it is accumulated. Being able to do that it's insane.
And I think too, it's the way that you approach a debit versus a credit card. I know for me, I mean, I use my debit card all the time, but I keep records, not just, okay, I'm going to go check my balance at the ATM.
Yeah.
Because that's not accurate to me. It shows what you have in your account right now. But what if you have an insurance payment coming out? Or what if you schedule your car payment to come out that hasn't hit yet? For me, a debit card is much different than a credit card, but a lot of folks use it just like they would a credit card.
Yeah.
I just think that once you start down the credit card path, if you aren't one of those people who pays it off every month, or if you typically haven't used your credit card, it's really easy, especially this time of year, to get into a situation where at the end of the month you can't afford to pay the whole thing off. And, once you, and I remember this back from the days when we lived on credit cards, which is just an awful way to live. But, oh, well, I'm just going to go and shop and get all these Christmas gifts that I need to give, and I'll just put it on my credit card and pay it later.
Yeah.
That's a slippery slope, man.
It is. And I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy to rack up the charges and think you spent less than you actually did because, again, you're not feeling the money leaving. You're not even really seeing it. You're just putting your card in and it just goes. I'm curious to see as the numbers for consumer spending go up. I'm also interested to see how high the debt's going to go up.
No, and that's fair. And then you add on to that, we've talked about inflation, we've talked about insurance costs, et cetera. Gone are the days when you have a credit card that's only like 9 or 10% interest.
Yeah.
They're all at or over 20%.
Right.
Easy. So there's another layer of the money that's flying out of your pocket. I'm just interested to see what information, why people are spending more now than they did before, because it would surprise me if it's just that they're just, I'm just going to go on a spending spree.
But I do think, I think everything you said is a factor into it, but maybe they may not be consciously saying it, but they're spending as they are continuing to use that debit and credit card over and over again, like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
They're just not realizing what's going out of their account.
It's possible. I'm very interested or intrigued by the fact that consumer spending went up that much. I just don't think people are, again, willy-nilly going to spend money. I really think it has to do with the cost of items right now.
KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:20, 56 degrees.
Don't forget about Drive Time at 5 p.m. It's me, Joe Cunningham, your 5 o'clock news cruise on The Joe Cunningham Show right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Join me for all of the news and commentary you need at the end of your day. Let's wrap up the day strong. You guys can be part of the conversation by calling in or using the KPEL app chat to be part of the conversation. It's not just news you listen to, but news you interact with right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:23. It is 56 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. So got an update that just came in about a minute ago from Lafayette Police. So you had a late night shooting that happened on December 2nd, just before 2 a.m. that morning, where police responded to the 300 block of 10th Street. There was a shooting in progress, and then when officers got to the scene, they found one victim at a home, a female suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Officers, began trying to save her life. She ended up dying at the hospital from her injuries. Well, we now have the identity of that woman, and it's 47-year-old Frederica Stevens of Lafayette. Detectives still trying to develop those leads. Investigation obviously continues, and 232-TIPS is the number to call if you have any information about that shooting, because we don't have a suspect's name released or anything like that yet.
Yeah, and remember, too, just a quick note, if you call Crime Stoppers, it doesn't have to be that particular crime. You can call in a tip to any crime. I thought that was interesting when we've had conversations with Crime Stoppers, but obviously, if you know anything about this particular incident, let them know. Speaking of incidents, Brandon, on Friday, I believe it was, Friday, information was released about a Lafayette gun shop owner and another person from Broussard who were arrested. Jeremiah Micah Deere owned Dave's gun shop. And this was a pretty intriguing story because it goes back to 2019. Now, the two of them have been convicted on numerous charges, one of them selling guns without a license. And in 2019, they got a warning. Like, the ATF agents actually wrote them out a warning because at that point, it had to do with failing to complete background checks on the people that they were selling firearms to. Additionally, they weren't keeping accurate records. So apparently, and this would be interesting to talk to Justin and Caleb about, when they take in a gun, they have to register it. And then they have to report the disposition or it going out. Well, there were a lot of smaller charges, but in 2019, ATF went in, said, hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to do thus and such. They wrote them up a citation or a warning of some sort, and this dear guy signed off and said, yes, I know I'm doing this wrong. I need to do it better. Well, they didn't stop. It kept going, and they would find out that these two people were buying guns and ammunition from estate sales and then reselling them. They were also accepting guns on consignment, but they were not logging any of that into their inventory, which they have to do. Wow. Then they were selling them basically out of their house, and they would go to gun shows both in and out of state and sell these guns, but they wouldn't run background checks on the people they were selling them to. What's even more frightening is that in the course of the investigation, they found out that some of the people that had bought the firearms were prohibited from owning or buying guns. So this is like a long-term investigation. Deere, the man, Jeremiah Deere, was taken into custody by St. Martin Parish deputies. He's still in jail. Let's see. the woman, the Fogel woman, is out on bond, but she is restricted from traveling outside of the state. Even on all those charges, and as crazy as they sound, Deer faces up to 11 years in prison. Oh, wow. And she faces up to not more than 5 years in prison. And both of them could be released, be put on supervised release sooner than that. So just an amazing story. And it kind of makes me sad for people like Caleb and those folks who really do what they can to follow the law and to do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Because when you see something like this, they're just selling guns out of their house. They're not running background checks, and they're basically putting guns into the hands of people who have no business with them.
And just to make a buck.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy story. If you want to read through it for yourself, I know a lot of that was kind of mind-boggling and took a lot of twists and turns, but very interesting. And it's good to see that our legal system is working.
I was just amazed at how many witnesses stepped forth in that case.
Right. And not only that, but they seized almost 250 guns. Some of them that still had tags on them when they went to the house, and they were asking they were looking for the forfeiture of 600 more.
Oh my God!
So you're looking at almost 700 guns that were out there and could have potentially been sold illegally.
Wow! Yeah, the more the details, you can go to the KPEL News app and you can see those details there as to so they're now awaiting sentencing, as Tracy was pointing out, and we'll keep you updated when that sentencing comes in. KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:29.
Celebrating 20 years of enlightening Acadiana. Moon Griffon, next on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wirtz with a look at news on this Monday, December 4th. Acadiana will be well represented during the state football championship games this weekend. 5 teams are headed to the Caesars Superdome, and a couple matchups pit local teams against one another. Opelousas and Cecilia will play for the top slot on Friday. It's the first time in 67 years Opelousas vies for a state championship, and the first time in 28 years Cecilia makes a trip to participate. Opelousas high and feeder schools, by the way, will be closed on Friday to allow fans to attend the game at noon. Friday night at 7, Acadiana will face Catholic of Baton Rouge. And on Saturday at noon, 11-2 Lafayette Christian Academy will take on undefeated St. Thomas More for the state title. We have the full slate of games on our website and on the KPEL app. The Ragin' Cajuns are headed to the New Orleans Bowl and will play Jacksonville State on December 16th in the Superdome. Kickoff is scheduled for 1:15. The LSU Tigers will face the Wisconsin Badgers at the ReliaQuest Bowl on January 1st in Tampa, Florida. Kickoff for that game is 11 a.m. A St. Martinville man is in jail on charges of solicitation of murder. Youngsville police say they were notified in November that 48-year-old Jeremy Broussard had tried to hire someone to murder a member of his family. Broussard was arrested last week in Rapides Parish. 2 people have been convicted on charges of illegally selling firearms. 30-year-old Sarah Vogel and 37-year-old Jeremiah Deere, who owns Dave's Gun Shop, were selling weapons out of their house and at gun shows without running background checks and without a license. The investigation exposed the sale of some of these firearms to people prohibited from owning or buying guns. The whole story is on our website or on the KPEL app. 41-year-old Teddy Landry of Breaux Bridge was killed Saturday night after his vehicle went off the road and struck a tree. St. Martin Parish Sheriff Beckett Breaux says a passing motorist called about the crash in the 100 block of Doyle-Melanson Extension in Breaux Bridge. The crash is still under investigation. A man has been charged with first-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon after killing one person and injuring several others at a trail ride Saturday. More than 1,000 people were attending the event north of Baton Rouge when the shooting started. One person died, 2 others were injured by gunfire. Several others were injured trying to run from the scene. Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles is now offering eligible Louisiana residents an autism spectrum disorder or a needs accommodation sticker for their vehicle for free. The decal will indicate to law enforcement that an individual has a disability. A statement from a qualified health professional verifying their diagnosis is required to get the decal. The Saints lost to the Detroit Lions at home Sunday 33-28. New Orleans tried to make a comeback after going into halftime 24-7, but it wasn't enough. Quarterback Derek Carr left in the fourth quarter with an injury. That's a look at news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Party at Rock and Bowl all weekend starting on Thursday, Terry and the Zydeco Bad Boys. Friday, Nickel Beer. Saturday, LA Rock. Sunday, Chubby Carrier and Bayou Swamp Band. Tickets now at rockandbowl.com.
A bit of high, thin cloudiness out there for the early part of the day, but warming up to near 66 for a daytime high. We'll see our winds shifting to the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, a few high, thin clouds, lows dropping back into the low 40s. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny skies and pleasant with a high temperature near 69. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a bit cooler with a high temperature near 62. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker on News Talk 96.5. KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, looking at what's happening on the roadways. No crashes, no breakdowns. Actually, excuse what I just said. We do have one crash, Shemim Metairie at Stonehurst Parkway in Youngsville. That's Shemim Metairie at Stonehurst Parkway in Youngsville. Other than that, roadways are looking good right now. KPEL News Time is 8:36, 56 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. And as a new documentary that is coming up, it's going to give a new perspective on the Louisiana State Capitol. And it's coming up tonight, as a matter of fact, at 7 p.m. It's going to take a look at the art and architecture of the building, which I have had the chance to tour. It's been a long time since I've been there, but it's a fascinating structure.
Only cost $5 million to complete in the early 1930s. Took 14 months to build it. But yeah, you can watch the documentary tonight on PBS. It starts at 7 o'clock. But really interesting, of course, it was built during Huey P. Long's political career, I'll say. And it was designed, I didn't realize this, after Nebraska's state capital. 20, I don't know why I didn't realize that. 27 stories high.
Yeah. I've been to
the top.
Yeah, I've been to the top too then. That's what it was. Because I remember going to the top and the whole thing was, don't drop anything off the top of the building because if it falls on somebody, it could kill them.
Oh,
as
I don't
kids,
remember that.
Kids, of course, fascinated by dropping pennies and stuff off of a building. And they're like, no, don't do that because the momentum that it carries.
Yeah, what is it, 9 feet per second?
Yeah, something like that.
6 feet per second. Or
they're like, if you drop something as hard as a nickel, it could kill somebody or something like that. So, that's what I'll always remember about going to the Capitol is kids wanting to throw things off and being fussed at by adults.
And of course, on one of the floors, you'll see the bullet hole where Huey Long was shot.
Yeah.
Just a fascinating building. And you talk about going to the top. I remember as a child going to the top of the building and just being fascinated. You look through because they have the telescopes, the binocular thingies. You know what I'm talking about on the big, I don't know what the official term is. But anyway, looking through that and thinking it was cool. But going back as an adult, because sometime in my adult life, inexplicably, I became afraid of heights.
Right.
And the last time I went up there, I could not go next to the edge. I couldn't breathe, whatever. But it's tall. Yeah. It's really, really high up there. I still think it's a beautiful building. I love the rotunda area. But if you want to see how it went from thought to reality, if you will, and because when Huey Long first brought it to, the legislature and said, let's build this, they said no.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it would be fascinating to find out how it came to be from just an idea in his head to the fact that he kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing. But I think that is a large part of Huey Long's legacy.
It took 14 months to build, and I'll say this in correlation with that. I can't imagine how much man hours it took to put together this feature. These things take a lot of time to put together, and so if you're at all have any interest, whether it's from a historical standpoint, architecture, any of that, give it a watch, and I'm sure that the makers will be very appreciative.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good project for you to watch with the kids, because a lot of school-aged children make trips to the Capitol for visits, as part of their history classes.
Who knew that it was designed after Nebraska State Capitol?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I have to go Google Nebraska State Capitol.
There you go. No, so that's really cool. So again, that's going to happen at 7:00 tonight on Louisiana Public Broadcasting. And so, again, it'll give you a unique perspective of that iconic.
They look exactly alike.
They do.
Okay. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
That's kind of frightening. If I had just seen that picture without a caption, I'd have thought it was ours.
That's funny. KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:41. Right now, we'll take this quick commercial break and be right back.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
There's a new mysterious respiratory disease apparently affecting thousands of people in China, filling up hospitals, especially in the northern part of that country.
And so much so that a group of senators wrote a letter to President Biden on Friday about their concerns about how China has been less than transparent in public health crises like with COVID-19. And now, with this unknown pathogen, Biden is urged to restrict travel from China into the U.S. so that we don't repeat the mistakes of 2020, closing schools, shuttering businesses, mail-in ballots, mandatory masks. You know the drill. Yogi Berra once said, it's deja vu all over again. But for millions of Americans, not this time.
Question is, do you think Joe Biden and the Democrats have learned anything from their failures in handling COVID, or are they doomed to repeat the same mistakes?
Return each weeknight with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr from 9 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Save money on your printing needs. Call Cartridge World today and ask about their no-cost printer program, too. Cartridge World, 337-984-9000, cartridgeworldusa.com. KPEL News Time is 8:44. Welcome back to Acadiana's Morning News. All right, so we do have some Cartridge World trivia that we need to get to. I looked up some questions, but I forgot to check with you whose turn it was. Is it my turn to ask? Or
no, if you've looked them up already, then you just knock yourself out.
So here we go then. We've got some Louisiana trivia questions.
Okay. Oh.
All right. Here we go. Let's see here. First question. Pulitzer Prize winning author Robert Penn Warren admitted that his iconic character, Willie Stark in All the King's Men, was inspired by what 20th century Louisiana politician?
Was it Huey P. Long? Okay. I only knew that because we just talked about it.
That's one reason why I asked. Let's see here. Next question. Denmark is home to a modern art museum that shares its name with what U.S. state whose capital is Baton Rouge?
Oh, Louisiana.
So it's the Louisiana Museum of Modern Arts.
Oh, okay. No kidding.
Yes. All right. 3 U.S. states collectively account for over half of all domestic refining capacity. Louisiana is one of them. California is another. Who is that third state that helps to account for over half of all domestic refining capacity?
Is it Texas?
There you go.
Yay, me.
Next question. Pistol Pete Maravich and Shaquille O'Neal both won Player of the Year honors while playing hoops for what university?
LSU.
There you go.
LSU.
Folgers Coffee is roasted not too far from the World War II Museum and Cafe Du Monde in
New Orleans. Rhea Folgers?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, that in itself is a piece of information I did not know.
There you go.
I thought it was like some other state.
Nope, it's New Orleans. Let's see here. Next question. Let me get a good one here for you. Okay. What Minneapolis icon had all four grandparents born in the state of Louisiana, which is a hotbed for the icon's musical influences? He also had a younger sister named Tyka. Minneapolis icon.
Oh, see, I'm not. I don't have any idea.
Let's see if I can give you a hint. He goes by one name. Very, very, very well known. He, as a matter of fact, played the Super Bowl in the pouring down rain.
Prince. Oh, okay.
All right.
I didn't realize he was from Minnesota.
True or false?
Okay.
Louisiana seceded from the nation in 1861.
My gut wants to say yes. Did they?
They say go with your gut.
Yeah.
That was during the Civil War time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I knew that. But I couldn't remember which states had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fair enough.
So before the French had it, what country did the Louisiana territory belong to?
It was Spain. That I knew. As a matter of fact, last week, I think one of our Today in History was the day that Spain signed it over to France.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. The lowest point in Arkansas lies near the 605-mile-long river that crosses the southern Arkansas border into Louisiana. What river is this?
The Red River, huh? No?
That's a great guess, but no.
Ooh, is it the Mississippi? No.
Nope. You're going to kick yourself when you hear what it is.
I will. The Atchafalaya.
No.
Okay.
It is the Ouachita River.
Okay. That was nowhere on my radar. I don't feel so bad.
The Red River was a good guess, though, but yeah, it is the Ouachita.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Trying to find a good one here for you. Okay. What was the name given to the 2017 hurricane that hit Texas as well as Louisiana? It shares its name with a 1950 film about James Stewart having visions of an invisible giant rabbit.
2017. I have no idea the James Stewart thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Okay, where was I? What was I doing in 2017?
It hit Texas first, and it came right towards us.
There have been a few. Okay, I don't remember which one that was.
Hurricane Harvey.
Oh,
yes.
See, that's one that I could kick myself for.
I'll never forget that hurricane because I watched the radar all day while I was in here in the studio. And basically, it hits Texas. It sits in Texas and just
I remember,
rotates.
yes. And it was so, it caused devastating flooding in Texas.
Houston especially. I mean, destroyed Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're waiting for it to just shoot up towards us. And when it does, I literally watched the what do you call it? The radar.
Uh-huh.
And it was like a half a hurricane going across the state.
Yeah.
And here in Lafayette, we were getting the side that was no more.
Right.
And the northern part of the state got, that part of the hurricane.
I have several friends in Houston that was an awful experience for them. But, I've always said that, watching a hurricane is like being stalked by a turtle. Because it develops and then you watch it and you watch it and you watch, and it's, can we
forever.
just get it over with? Figure out where you're going to go and go there.
And it's kind of the thing where it's you almost want it to speed up because it'll lose power as it speeds up.
Yes.
So yeah, very, very frustrating. Okay. So next question here for you. In the early 1900s, there was a campaign to bring which animals to America from Africa and let them live in the Louisiana bayous to be raised for meat. Hint, the NYT was into the idea, referring to the creatures as lake cow bacon.
Is it alligator?
No. No, think of them as giant pigs. Is kind of how
it's not the manatee.
No. So, okay, Bernie did a story on this.
Okay.
And it's
you can tell me what it is.
It's called hippo. It's the hippos.
Oh, it is. Is that the story
That's
she
the
just
story.
recently did?
That's the story. And so that was a segment a while back, long time ago, I would say, when it was Professor Bob was in here, and he shared the story with Bernie, and she was so fascinated by it that she had to do a story on it.
Yeah.
That's the story. in a nutshell.
No kidding.
That's it, yeah.
And let me tell you, I've heard that they are mean.
I wouldn't get close to one. I'll just
No, me either. I love hippos. I like the way they look. What is it? I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
I've never heard of that one. But
You never heard that song?
No.
Oh, Brandon.
The only animal song.
It's absolutely obnoxious. But when you hear it, you can't stop singing. I was, as a matter of fact, I saw, I think it was a meme on Facebook this weekend. And they, it had a picture of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked around the house singing, and my daughter was house Saturday. She was like, Mom, just stop.
So
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. And it's obnoxious.
Well, apparently it's been played on this computer before because it's like midway through.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
You ready to sing? Let's go.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Oh, Lord.
Only a hippopotamus will do.
Listen.
Don't want a dog, a dinky tinker toy. I want a hippopotamus to play with and enjoy.
Okay, you can
You're
stop
right. That
now.
song is obnoxious.
It's obnoxious,
Oh,
and it
man.
sticks with you for. And I hadn't. It's not obviously new. It was done years and years and years ago. And I remember the first time I heard it, I thought, "What in the HEW hockey sticks kind of musical disaster is this?"
Okay, I may have one that tops it for you.
Okay.
Listeners that have been listening for a while and probably know what I'm about to go to. If we're talking about animals and Christmas music, I don't think it's any more obnoxious than this one.
Okay.
Hey, jingity jing, it's Dominic the donkey.
Oh my God.
Jingity jing, the Italian Christmas.
Watch, here we go. It's the best part.
La 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 la.
La 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 la. And I love the hee-haw.
That's awesome.
Santa's got a
That
little
is
friend.
awesome.
His name is Dominic, the cutest little donkey. You'll never see him kick.
There you go. If you want to listen to the whole version, you got to YouTube
Oh my God.
It's good. It's
That
hilarious.
is fabulous.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. I need to come up with the most obnoxious Christmas songs and put them online. And one of, my least favorite Christmas song ever will get, if I'm like Pandora-ing Christmas music or whatever, and Wham! Last Christmas comes on, any version of Last, I absolutely hate that song.
I'll stay away from it then.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my friend Aileen, there's like something called Whamageddon that's going on right now. Like, if you hear it, then like you're out. You're out of the game. And I will do everything I can to avoid that song. It doesn't matter if Wham sings it, if Taylor Swift, I don't care who sings it. I absolutely detest that song.
It's a pretty goofy song. Oh.
It's not even a Christmas song.
It's terrible.
I mean, all he's doing is talking about Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to aggravate me? That's torture. Sit me in a room, put that on, and put headphones on my ears. I will tell you anything you want to hear.
Ian made some musical reference to Wham last year during the playoffs. I wish I could remember how he did it, but it was so cleverly done.
Yeah,
because
but
he
Ian's
likes to
just
make
clever.
music references, and
Yes.
he did that with the Wham song. And I was like, "Are you serious?"
I hate that song.
It is a pretty bad Christmas song. I can't
Yeah.
argue with you.
But
on
I've run into people who they just love it.
that. Yeah, no, it's one of those songs you either love it or you hate it.
And if
There's no
you're
in
one of
between.
those that loves it, then just make sure that
You don't
I'm
play
not
it.
around.
Oh man. All right, well, KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:56. Right now it is 55 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions. We do have your Fox Business Report on the way, but Tracy, that's going to do it for us.
All right. Well, listen, we had such a good time visiting with you guys today about insurance and other things. We hope we made you smile in some way, shape, or form on this Monday. Have a great day and God bless.
Live and local every day in Acadiana. And the only place you can voice your opinion on your favorite KPEL shows. We're your home for news and talk in Acadiana. This is KPEL.
taking you home with all the news and commentary you can't get anywhere else during your 5 o'clock drive time. It's the Joe Cunningham Show right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Investors are picking up shares of Paramount Global, up nearly 6% in after-hours trading, following a report that the media conglomerates discussed the possibility with Apple of bundling their streaming services at a discounted price. Pfizer stock is falling after a setback in its push to grab a slice of the booming weight loss drug market, currently worth about $10 billion. Pfizer saying it's not going to move to phase 3 trial of a weight loss drug as a twice-daily version. And the Wall Street Journal has news about a fast food favorite. The McDonald's burger is getting a revamp. Some of the modifications, 2 all-beef patties that are cooked in smaller batches for a more uniform sear, more secret special sauce with lettuce, cheese, and pickles that will be what they say are fresher and meltier. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu. Invested
Wednesday, the final GOP debate of the year is on News Nation, America's fastest growing cable news network. Sirius XM's Megyn Kelly, News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas, and the Washington Free Beacon's Eliana Johnson moderate a live primetime event from the University of Alabama as the candidates make their case to America on the only network for all America. The News Nation Republican primary debate. Live Wednesday, 8 Eastern. To find News Nation on your TV, go...
The show that's not immune to the facts, Dan Bongino.
We are your home for the Dan Bongino Show, News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, a Town Square Media station.
It's a case stemming from the opioid crisis. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Supreme Court about to consider this hour a bankruptcy settlement involving Purdue Pharma, the OxyContin maker blamed for helping spark the crisis of drug overdoses and deaths.
Richard Sackler and his family, pretty much murdered my son, and they have no right to get immunity from being sued.
Christy Nelson's son Brian OD'd at the age of 20 after becoming addicted to painkillers after a car crash.
At issue are company bankruptcy protections for the family who ran Purdue Pharma during the opioid crisis. Even though the U.S. government was okay with the bankruptcy plan under President Trump's administration, the Justice Department under President Biden is questioning the deal, which gave Sackler family members bankruptcy protection, even though they themselves haven't filed for bankruptcy.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Israel is bombarding Gaza north and south for a 4th day since a ceasefire ended.
Hamas has key infrastructure there in the south. They have their major central commanders there in the south.
That's Mark Regev, senior advisor to Israel's prime minister, who also just told Fox.
We've told the civilian population where we expect there to be heavy fighting. We've asked them to relocate. We don't want to see civilians caught up in the crossfire.
The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says more than 15,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel started the war after the Hamas terror attack. The U.S. launched a drone strike in Iraq, killing 5 Iran-backed militants. A defense official says we're seen preparing an attack suspected to be yet another targeting American forces. The search continues off the coast of Japan for 2 crew members of the Air Force Osprey that crashed last week. They're still missing. Remains of 5 others have been found.
One victim was recovered shortly after the crash, but he was later pronounced dead. The identities of the remains found since are still to be determined. U.S. and Japanese divers have also discovered wreckage.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
With the holidays upon us, the increase in traveling, shopping, and connecting online also heightens the need to protect your identity and finances with LifeLock. Identity thieves see this time of year as an opportunity to drain your accounts, open new loans in your name, and damage your financial future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might miss on your own. Don't let the busy holiday season catch you off guard. Save up to 25% off your first year with promo code CLAY. LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes who risk their lives for our communities and our country. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. He sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training. Tunnel to Towers provided his wife and 2 daughters with a mortgage-free home. Join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good in their honor. Donate $11 a month at
The Joe Cunningham Show has a new start time. That's right. Hey, everybody, it's me, Joe Cunningham, and I want you to join me every weekday at 5 p.m. here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. All of the news and analysis that's important to you right here in Acadiana, be it local, state, or national, going to have that for you during your evening drive every day from 5 to 6 p.m. The Joe Cunningham Show right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
If you're 19 or older with certain underlying medical conditions such as asthma or diabetes,